Hello all. Okay, what we're going to do here is I'm going to walk you through how to use Warp Stabilizer in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now I'm working in Adobe Premiere Pro 5.5, so 6 may look a little different for you, but it should work the same. So what I've selected a clip here, and in the clip that I'm looking at, there's a little bit of a recomp here that goes down, and it's pretty small, but you'll be able to see um, the difference because I wanted to lock it down and make it look like it was just a static shot all along. So it's good. It'll work pretty well in this because they have defined lines that the computer can read and kind of use to shift pixels right and left. So the way that it works, first I'll send this into After Effects by right-clicking and do Replace with After Effects Composition, and it will pull it up in here. And I am going to twirl these down here so you can see everything that's happening. So I'm going to select my clip here, and then I'm going to go up to this search menu. And what this does is it allows me to, if I'm not familiar where something is, it'll automatically pull it up for me. So if you're new to After Effects, if you aren't familiar with how it works, but you know something exists, this is a great place to start. Let's say I know it's called warp something. I have no idea what it is, so I'll just say warp, type that in, and then you see warp stabilizer, and it will point you to where that exists on there. So I'm going to say that I want to apply that warp stabilizer, and immediately it starts analyzing that clip in the background. Now this is good because it allows you to come in and start figuring out what you want to do, and then you don't have to wait on it to process all that information after you have figured out what you want. Now we're only dealing with, it said 224 frames, so it shouldn't take that long. But I do already know that I want to start, I want to be working in the detailed analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, and that way it knows to be processing the information that way. So what I'm going to do is I'll walk through a few of the options that you have available to you. So I'll twirl these down, and that way you'll be able to see all that's going on here. So we have a couple different options. The result. This is the end result. What do you want? So if you're walking behind, say this character here, and he's walking forward, and you're tracking with him, you don't want that to look like it's sitting on a tripod. You just want to smooth that motion out. So you would come in here and do smooth motion. For this clip, what I want to do is I want to take that comp out, and I want it to look like it's just sitting static on a tripod. So I'll go in and do no motion. Select no motion, and it immediately it grays out these smoothness parameters here. So I'm not going to be working with these. Here's a few different options that you have and how it's going to process this information and get you your end result. The position. So this is saying if this clip heads down 3 pixels, it's going to move it up 3 pixels and adjust every frame the number of pixels that things are moving around. So if you have a clip with a lot of movement, that position is going to have to do a lot more thinking in order to make that happen. Scale and rotation. This is it allocates the information for position, but also scales the image. So if you have a zoom involved in there, it will try to adjust by scaling the image to compensate for that. Or if you have some rotation happening and the position is shifting a lot, it's going to use that scale to essentially block out any black edges that you're going to get. So if this starts rotating, 25, 30 pixels to the left, and then rotating back 25 or 30 pixels, but the face stays in the middle, and you end up seeing all of these black showing up here, it's going to use that scale to help adjust for that. And the rotation, like I said, if it rotates, 20 pixels left or right, it's going to adjust for that as well. Perspective, that's going to be that 3D depth. That's going to come into help you a bit more if you are trying to adjust for something like a zoom. And then the subspace warp. This is going to be, most people like to start with this one and then kind of figure out where to go from there, because this one is like the most all-encompassing way of processing that information. This is something that you would use if you have something like parallax, or you have rolling shutter. Parallax is where you're doing handheld, and there's the left to right, the up and down, the moving forward and back. It tries to analyze all of that in that 3D space and give you that best result that it can. I am going to use position, scale, and rotation because I'm pretty confident that the subspace warp isn't going to work as smoothly for a clip like this. So I'm going to do position, scale, and rotation, and it immediately starts doing that. You can see the comp that it did, or the crop that it did to help compensate for that information. You can see the amount of scaling it had to do to achieve the result that I want. Now I'm going to go in here and we'll see what it looks like. You can see there's still a little bit of comp in there. So I'm going to allow this to have a bit of additional scale here and see if that helps me out. There's still a little bit of movement there. So let's go in and we'll try the subspace warp. Now it's doing a little bit of different information gathering here, and it stays a little more still, but you can see it goes a little funky in trying to create these pixels. At points it goes blurry. I'm not a huge fan of the subspace warp. I know it has its applications where it works pretty well. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to try this again, and let's try stabilize and synthesize edges. What this is going to do is it's going to create information for me in areas where information doesn't exist. So I'm going to go back into my my Premiere Pro project here and just take a look at how that reads back. I'm going to move my my work area so that I'm only working with that, and then I'm going to render that section. Okay, so now it's done and it's rendered out here, and so now we can play it back and see how it looks. And still a bit of a comp there, but it's a lot more subtle. You can see the difference that it is. It's taken this, and I'll play that section there. It's a much more subtle move, and you can actually see how it's comped the frame out right here. It's moved those pixels down to adjust for that. And I play it back and it looks like it's larger, but you can kind of get the idea of what it can do as a result of this, and you could tweak it a lot. And you can see, actually pay attention to this right here as I play it back, as it just slowly moves that down and adjusts that frame for us. Now we did lose a lot in terms of the frame, but what I want to show you here is I know that I'm going to be going to 235 on this anyway, so I can put that up there and I can see what that looks like as far as the framing goes using 235. So looks good to me. Just shows you kind of exactly what you're dealing with there, and so endless possibilities there, and I just wanted to open you up to this a little bit. So thank you very much. That's all we have.